What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we are talking about finesse swim baits and underspins, the best baits, the best heads, and the best way to catch more bass. If you guys told me I had one bait to fish across the country to try and catch a bass, it would probably be a Senko. But number two would be a finesse swim bait on an underspin. Now, it doesn't matter where you go in the country, doesn't matter the types of species you're fishing for, they will eat a little 2.5-inch swim bait with a little bit of flash, a little bit of vibration. We've caught bluegill, we've caught walleye, we've caught catfish, we've caught crappie, big largemouth, big smallmouth, tons and tons and tons of different species eat this guy right here. But more importantly, it is my number 2 confidence bait out of any bait you can give me out of the entire tackle shop to go and catch fish. If I'm on a fishery where I've never been before and I want to see if there's bass in it and I need a confidence bait and I'm gonna chuck and wind, I'm going with that guy right there. If I'm on a fishery and the shad spawn has happened and I need a bait to catch fish when the fish are actively feeding on big balls of shad, I'm going with that guy right there. It is a staple for me, and hopefully after this video, if it's not already, it will be a staple for you as well. So today we're gonna talk about some underspins. We're gonna talk about key swim baits, because believe it or not, the different swim baits have different kicking actions, and some of your favorite swim baits in the wintertime or in the summertime might not work in the opposite season. So we're gonna cover that as well. And then talk about some of our favorite heads to pair up with our favorite swim baits. So by the end of this, whether you're in a local tackle shop looking at the walls and pegs and pegs and pegs of different swim baits and different heads, or you're shopping online on Tackle Warehouse and you're looking at the hundreds of different heads and swim baits, by the end of it, you will be able to pick out 3 or 4 key baits and heads, and that's it. We're really trying to simplify it for you and give you the best combination to catch fish in your fishery. So believe it or not, depending on 2 key factors, that's really how I base my entire swim bait selection, swim bait head selection. Time of year, i.e. water temperature. Is it warm or cold, right? Is it above 50 degrees or below 50 degrees? We're not talking about little increments. We're talking about big numbers. Is it 50 to 80 or 50 to 40, 50 to 38, you know, depending on that. And what type of bait fish are in my fishery? What am I trying to imitate? Am I trying to imitate little silver sides? Am I trying to imitate little threadfin? Am I trying to imitate gizzard shad? Really, it's that simple, guys. Am I trying to imitate gobies or sculpin? You guys don't know what those are? Google it. I promise you, you probably have them in your fishery. So depending on the bait fish that you're trying to imitate, and depending on the time of the year or the water temperature and water clarity, we'll throw that one in there too, depends. That's what, those 2 things are what I factor in when picking a swim bait, a finesse swim bait. So it's really that simple, guys. Now, like I said, that you can go into a tackle shop and you can just be overwhelmed by the amount of different swim baits, finesse swim baits. You know, between 2.5 and let's say 3.5, 4-inch swim baits. I mean, there are so many on the market, but I have 4 or 5 here for you that are gonna work extremely well in different conditions, and they're gonna put a lot of fish in the boat for you. If you're a shore-based angler, they're gonna get a lot of fish, you're gonna get a lot of bites and get a lot of fish to shore. Believe it or not, my kids, I mean, their #1 bait this entire spring has been an underspin. You know, fishing from shore, fishing from our backyard, they're putting fish in their hands, not in the boat, in their hands, catching fish, catfish, crappie, white bass, bluegill, big largemouth on that little guy right there, because they're trying to imitate the shad. These fish are feeding on shad here. So action plays a huge, huge deal in swim bait fishing. Okay, now if you are on a highly unpressured lake, an unpressured lake, right? You're on a fishery where the fish probably haven't seen a swim bait. Hands down, you can go get your favorite 2.8, 3.3, 3.8 Kitech, rig it on your favorite underspin, and you will absolutely obliterate the fish. They are going to eat it. Adding that flash, adding that vibration makes your swim bait stand out. It helps those fish key in on your bait, especially if you're fishing around active fish on bait fish. You know, one thing you don't talk about very often, but adding that flash and vibration, and you throw this thing into a shad ball, that ball just kind of goes around your bait. So those fish, those bass see that one single bait. That's why they help key into your bait. That's why if you're ever fishing around active fish, I always, 100% of the time, start with a blade, start with an underspin. But if you are on a fishery that doesn't get a lot of pressure, throwing a Kitech will get you a ton of bites, catch you a lot of fish. Now, with that said, that's a real kind of over-the-top tail kick. It works good in warmer water, but as we get into that warmer water, here we are in April, we're talking about fish in all 3 phases of the spawn. I want a swim bait that has a little bit of body roll, so a nice big kick and a little bit of a body roll. So we're gonna talk about some of my favorite baits, but understanding first water temperature and or clarity, and what type of fish are you trying to imitate. Now with water clarity, murky or clear, really that kind of plays into which color I'm gonna go with. I keep it fairly simple on my colors. I go with some kind of electric shad. I go with some kind of Tennessee shad. If I'm in a bluegill fishery, I'll go with some kind of bluegill color. And then if I'm in kind of some murky waters, I might go with you know, something that has a little more pearl to it, a pro blue red pearl, something like that that has a little bit more visibility. But guys, it's really that simple. You know, picking out swim baits, you don't need a bunch of colors. You want to mimic the bait fish that are in your fishery, and fishing an underspin, fishing a swim bait, a finesse swim bait, is my second confidence baits of the entire tackle shop. It just gets eaten. So let's talk about baits. Now, I already said if given the opportunity, I'm throwing something with some flash and vibration. I just have a ton more confidence on that than a swim bait without. Now, with that said, if I'm fishing super clear water and I don't feel like I need that flash and vibration, I will start out with the underspin, but then I will go with the bladeless swim bait. But other than that, guys, water clarity, visibility, I'm typically throwing something with some flash on it. So we already talked about the Kitech, right? That is a staple. Whether it's a little 2.8 or a 3.3 or a 3.8, those guys mimic bait fish all through the country, right? They are the staple. They are the standard. Just like the Senko's the standard in stick baits, the Kitech is, it's not the original swim bait, right? We had that whole Bastrix thing, you know, those hollow body swim baits where they were going for astronomical prices online. They work extremely well. They have some body roll, where a Kitech is really the first mass-produced swim bait that kind of came in the blister packs. You knew that they were gonna swim straight out of the package. You knew that the colors were gonna be consistent. And that really kind of set this whole category on fire. It is the staple. So a Kitech, a 2.8, a 3.3, a 3.8, those are the staples in finesse swim bait fishing, right? Here's a little 2.8 paired up on our little tactical mini underspin. Do I have a 2.8 on a guppy head? Right here, little 2.8 on a guppy head. No flash, no vibration, can be fished super slow on bottom, can be fished mid-column. This thing will get bites when other techniques won't. But a Kitech, if you guys have fished a Kitech, you guys know that the fish eat them. Now with that said, Kitechs, I don't know any of my fishing friends that don't throw a Kitech. And that's where Matt and I really started playing with underwater footage. That's where we started playing with other swim baits, because just like other techniques, when everybody on the lake, everybody you're fishing around is throwing the same action, the same looking, the same swimming swim bait, there are times if you're throwing something a little bit different, you will outfish them. And looking at underwater footage, looking at some of these swim baits, we really found a few other baits that really, really stand out. Number one, you guys know the Finesse Swimmer by Exo. That's a little 2.75. This little guy right here, I've held it up to you guys multiple times already. What you get with the Swimmer, you get a bait you can fish at slow speeds, you get a bait you can fish at fast speeds, but what you get, not only do you get that real good tail kick, now you start getting that body roll. Now you start getting that secondary action that is like the action you get out of those hollow bodied swim baits, you know, the bass tricks, that sort of thing. So having some body roll to go with the tail kick matters. So as we get into these warmer months, now that we're in April, we've switched over from our cold water swim baits. Now we're fishing our warm water swim baits. That Swimmer is hands down our favorite. It comes in a lot of great sizes, 2.75, 3.5, 4 inch, 4 point, I mean, they go all the way up to 5.5, but today we're talking about finesse swim baits. There's one of the big guys right there on our actual underspin, not our mini, but our full-size underspin. Whether you're fishing it on an underspin or you're fishing it on a bladeless head, the Swimmer is our go-to swim bait. It has that secondary body action and it is killer, okay? If you are looking for a bait that is a little different than the Kitech, can be fished slow, can be fished fast, has more of the shad profiled body, that's where we go with this guy right here, the Mayor. This is a new bait by Crush City. I got a little one over here for you. Where's it at? Oh, on my rod. 2.5. Get this out of the way. 2.5 and 3 inch right here. It's a very durable swim bait. It has more of a tighter kick, so when you're burning it faster, it has kind of that fleeing kind of shimmy to it. So a real tight tail kick, but kind of a tighter vibration. That bait works extremely well. Has a little bit taller body. Again, just a little bit different profile, more of that true kind of shad baitfish profile. That thing is money. Again, we're gonna talk about heads in just a second, but I wanna go through the baits because I feel like that's where a lot of people are gonna check out. They wanna know what baits and they're gonna go buy them, but we're gonna go a little bit deeper later on in this video. Okay, last but not least, this guy right here. That is the Storm Largo Shad. That's the 3 inch bait. Have that guy rigged right here. Now, what's key about this bait, a lot like the Mayor, it has a nice a nice kick to it, has a nice shimmy. This bait really shimmies. Out of all of the baits, this really mimics a shad the best. Kind of has that real tight shimmy in the body. And then obviously that a really good tail kick. Now what's key about the Largo shad is it comes with this little piece right here. We leave that on if we're trying to fish in warmer water. We're trying to mimic shad. If we want to fish slow, really grind it on bottom, colder water, then we'll take that little tab and we will pull it off. Little tab, so you get two different tail kicks with the Largo shad. That's another great bait. Again, that swammer, day in and day out, warmer weather, all the way through fall. That is our swim bait. And then we'll switch over to the Mayor, the Largo shad. Now, if you guys are in April, all the way through summer, all the way into fall, but you're on fisheries that, one, are really clear, but two, never really get warm, never really get to like the 60 degrees, right? We're sitting out here on Chickamauga, I'm reading like high 70 water temps. There's the Great Lakes, there's lakes out west that are deep that never really truly get warm. That's where we have our cold water finesse swim baits. Number one, I can't tell you how many big fish between Matt and I, our buddies, have been caught on this guy right here. That is the Mega Bass Spark Shad. Have one rigged right here. This bait has a flat back and is an extremely subtle tail kick, extremely subtle swim. It looks ultra natural. It does not look frantic by any means. It looks ultra natural. And in those clear water situations, those cold water situations, we're using light line. So we're making long casts, light line, and this thing is down there just barely kicking. It looks so good. But that Spark Shad, for me, has put so many smallmouth over 5 pounds in the boat. I've lost count of 6 pounds. Big smallmouth have eaten that guy right there. It just has the it factor. Now, we can't explain what it is. It just has it. It's how we describe baits that get bit when other baits don't get bit, and they just have it. That little guy is 3-inch. Again, great action if you're in a cold water fishery, crystal clear, high visibility. That is our number one go-to swim bait. We're gonna talk about heads in just a second. Now, last but not least, if you're on a fishery that has gobies, if you're on a fishery that has sculpin, I'll time out pause right here. You guys can go Google what a sculpin is. Most fisheries have them. If you are on a fishery that has current or rock, or you like to fish near bottom, you guys have to throw the Dark Sleeper. This is not a new bait. If you've never heard of it, try one. They are an amazing bait. They come pre-rigged. They got the hook hidden in the dorsal fin. They have an amazing goby profile, but they also look like a baby crappie. They also look like a baby bluegill. It just kind of has more of that thicker profile. Okay, this is an awesome bait. And I can't tell you how many times, especially up on the Great Lakes, that this has outfished one of these guys 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1. I mean, it gets crazy how much better they eat this than they eat this, especially if you're fishing a fishery that has gobies. They just love the Dark Sleeper. Again, I'll link our favorite colors down below in the video description. I already talked about the swim baits, Tennessee shad, electric shad, some kind of bluegill color. You know, I keep it really natural. On the sleepers, Wagasaki, Donko, Haze, those are our 3 favorite colors, but I'll link those down below in the video description. That is an awesome little goby profile. Again, comes in different sizes. This is a 3/4, that's a little guy right there, that's a little 1/4 ounce. Comes in different sizes. You can fish these on spinning and bait casting, but these things get bit. Now, 2 more for you if you're in those situations. Number 1, the TRD Gobies. This is a bait that came out from Z-Man a few years ago. It got the Elastec, super durable. Rig that on a little guppy head. That is a fantastic little finesse swim bait. You will catch them from the Tennessee River all the way up to the Great Lakes. That guy right there, again, like I said, Elastec, super durable. That's that little TRD Gobies. Works great on a Ned head. Works even better on a little swim bait head. And then last but not least, this little guy right here. This is the Stealth Invader by X-Zone. Again, super realistic detail on the dorsal fins. You will see the tail is upside down, so this allows you to fish on or close to bottom, still get a little subtle tail kick, a little longer profile than the Z-Man, but that is an awesome, awesome little bait as well. Works great on a drop shot, works even better on a swim bait. That is another little finesse swim bait that I feel like every fish in the lake has seen a 2.8 Kitech. They eat that guy right there, okay? So guys, those are the baits. Those are our key baits. Now let's talk about how we rig them. Let's talk about the heads, because that matters almost as much as the tail kick, the color of the swim bait, you know, the action and the whole presentation. Like I said earlier, guys, if I could only have one, it would be this guy right here. Little 2.75 swammer in electric shad paired up with our little tactical mini underspin. A lot of you guys are familiar with it. Some of you guys may not be. Matt and I designed the underspin line a couple years ago. Now, it's not something that we wanted to do. We noticed that there was some flaws in some of our favorite heads on the market, and so we fixed that. We addressed some issues, okay? Number 1, went with a little bit stouter hook. Now, this is 7-pound fluorocarbon. That is a 2/0 hook. You're not gonna bend this thing out. You're not gonna, doesn't matter if you're catching 8-pound largemouth, you're not gonna bend that hook out. Some of the lighter wire hooks on the market, we bent fish out on. Number 2, the dropper arm, the length of the actual dropper arm. You know, we realized when we started looking at underwater footage, some of our favorite swim baits paired up with the heads we were using, the blade was not clearing the belly of the bait. It couldn't spin naturally. It couldn't spin freely. It kept just hitting the belly and getting obstructed. So we lengthened that dropper arm. So now you can fish taller profiled swim baits. You can fish your favorite swim baits, and that blade is gonna turn unrestricted. So again, the other thing that we did, most heads on the market have a white base to their paint, okay? What we realized, underwater footage, looking at real fish, all that stuff, a lot of times, especially in clear water, that white based head, even though it had great paint jobs, really glowed, really stood out. So we added some colors and went with a silver base. So right there, we got a little blue on the top, silver base. Now, when this thing comes through the water, that head doesn't glow. It looks ultra realistic, ultra natural, and we could not be more happy with our little tactical, our mini underspin, okay? So, given that one bait, I'm going with a Senko. Given 2 baits, I'm going with this guy right here. I'm going with a little tactical mini underspin paired up with our favorite finesse swim bait, little 2.75 swammer, 2.8 Kitech, little Largo shad, little Mayor, and that will get the job done. I promise you guys. I can't emphasize that enough. If you needed one, that guy right there. 2.75 swammer, an 1/8 ounce tactical mini underspin, and you guys will have a blast catching a ton of fish. Now, the underspin comes in a 2/0 hook, right? Same size. It's we got heads 1/8, 3/16, 1/4, 3/8. You can put a 3/8 ounce head on a little tiny, I don't think I did, on a little tiny swim bait. So depending on where you're fishing in the water column, depending on how deep you want to fish, you can go all the way up to 3/8 of an ounce and get that little swim bait down. Okay. Real quickly, I know we're talking about finesse swim baits. We have our actual underspins with a 3/0, a 4/0, a 5/0 hook, all the way up to 3/4 heads. You can get the normal tactical underspin. Again, you're not going to bend that hook out. If you want to throw a little bit larger swim bait, you can. But in today's video, we're talking about finesse swim baits. So that 3.8, let's say 4-inch or smaller, that tactical mini underspin, I promise you guys will catch a lot of fish on it. Now, if you find yourself fishing a fishery that has vegetation, or you're fishing through stuff, whether it's sparse lily pads coming up, or sparse grass, or reeds, or bulrushes, if you find yourself in that situation, go with a weedless swim bait. We have one for you. The Owner Flashy Swimmer. Little 1/0 right there, paired up with a 3.3 Kitech, and a 5/0 1/4 ounce paired up with a 4.3 Kitech. 4.8. What do we got? We got swammers over here. Where'd that guy go? I don't know. I got swim baits all over the place. But if you are fishing where you need to be weedless, simple answer, guys, go with a Flashy Swimmer. 1/0, 5/0, they make all sorts of sizes, but those guys right there will catch fish when you're fishing through. Again, anytime I'm fishing around active fish, anytime I'm fishing around that stained or murky water, I'm adding a little bit of flash, a little bit of vibration. Now, I have seen instances where ultra clear water, they don't like that flash and vibration, which is why we're going to talk about the guppy heads and bladeless swim baits. But I always start out with a blade on my swim bait. I always start out throwing an underspin. Oh, there's that swammer right there. 4.75 swammer. That's a 5/0 1/4 ounce Flashy Swimmer that actually has a gold blade on there. If you're fishing around those bluegill, you know, the bluegill spawn after the bass, they're up there. If you're fishing around that, adding that little bit of gold blade to that flash will help you catch more fish as well. All right, let's talk about bladeless swim baits. Let's talk about actual finesse swim baits without the flash. Like I said before, I'm always starting with an underspin, but I have found in certain situations there can be days where fish just don't want the blade. Again, if I'm around active fish, if I'm around bait balls, 100% of the time I'm throwing that blade. But clear water, clear lakes, not Clear Lake in California, clear lakes, the Great Lakes, 50-foot visibility, I'm going light line. I'm going 5, 6, 7 pound fluorocarbon, and I'm going ultra natural. That's that little spark shad paired up with a 1/0 guppy head and Tennessee shad. That specific combo has caught a lot of giant smallmouth for me. That is, again, cold water, subtle presentation, but paired up with that guppy head, that is a winner. Now, the guppy head comes in a 1/0, a 3/0, and a 5/0. Okay, you can go all the way up to a 5/0. I like the 1/0 for those little finesse swim baits, and I like the 3/0 for the little bit longer swim baits. Okay, that's that Kitech easy shiner, and that's a 3.5-inch swim bait. So here it is compared to a 2.8 Kitech. That is the 3.5. Now this has a little bit tighter action, a little bit tighter shimmy than that Swing Impact Fat. I like that bait as well. But 1/0 and 3/0, those are the two sizes that I use primarily. It fits all of your favorite sized swim baits extremely well. There it is on that 3-inch Mayer. So your favorite sizes, 8, 3/16, quarter, 3/8 come in 1/0, 3/0, and 5/0, okay? So you can mix and match whatever swim bait you want, whatever finesse swim bait you want on that head. Now with that said, they did introduce the tungsten guppy head last year, okay? That is this guy right here. So here is a 1/8 ounce 1/0. Here is a quarter 2/0. The tungsten comes with a 2/0. It's the same hook in our underspin, our tactical mini underspin. It's a 2/0. It's a little bit heavier wire. It's not a super heavy duty wire hook, but you're not gonna bend it out. Again, it's the same hook in our underspin. So there has been times on big fish, on light, on that light wire guppy head, I have bent them out a little bit. So if you are afraid of that, you can go with the tungsten guppy and get that little bit heavier duty wire. But again, benefits of the tungsten, yeah, smaller profile, heavier weights, and they just look ultra natural. But the guppy head, 1/8 ounce, 3/16 ounce, quarter ounce in that 1/0 size is hands down my favorite finesse light line combination, okay? And then if you find yourself needing to go with a little bit bigger profile, a little bit bigger swim bait, simple answer for you guys, the Screwed Up Head by Dirty Jigs. Now, it has the screw lock built into the head. So when you take your favorite swim bait, let's grab this Kitech for you. I'll show you how to rig it real quick. One of the biggest issues with swim baits is durability, right? You catch a couple fish, now the tail's bitten off or the bait is shredded. Having that oversized keeper on there really allows that bait to stay connected to the shank of that hook, and it keeps that bait from really getting torn up. This is an awesome little keeper. Push it on there, spin the head on, tail just wraps around. And boom, you have a bait that is on there. It's not coming off. You don't have to worry about, look how that pairs up perfectly. Wrong color, but that pairs up perfectly. And again, having that oversized keeper on there allows that bait to stay connected to the head and that hook shank, and you won't be shredding your baits. Again, it's just threaded on there, and that tail just wraps around the hook shank. You spin that thing up there and it sticks, it stays. So that right there paired perfectly. And then again, a little bit bigger if you want to throw a bigger profile. One last head I want to talk about, because it doesn't really fit in either of those two categories. If anything, it's closer to an underspin, but it's the Okashira screw head. Okay, we've talked about this bait now, this head now for years. I have one rigged on this little spark shad right there. When you look at this, when you hold it in your hand, it's got a little propeller on the head. But what you can't tell without looking at it is that the propeller is disproportionate. You got a smaller side and a bigger side. And what that does, it makes it kick off balance. So if you are in clear water fishery, if you want to add some body roll to your swim bait, putting it on that little Okashira head will give that thing the shimmy that works extremely well in cold water and clear water situations. It kind of has that spy bait shimmy, if you will. You think that propeller, you think that counterbalance or destabilization, whatever you want to call it. But adding that little body roll to that already super finessey spark shad is an awesome, awesome combination, okay? But that little Okashira screw head is an awesome, awesome head if you want to add a little bit of that body roll to your favorite finesse swim bait. So guys, like I said, I got these heads all laid out over here. I'll link all of our favorites down below in the video description. But here's our tactical mini underspin, 1/8 ounce, 3/8 ounce, same hook, 2/0 HD hook, not gonna bend it out, silver based paint, super natural, super realistic. The guppy heads, those things are awesome if you don't wanna have any flash, any vibration. The screw locks like I just talked about, and then that Okashira head, that's really it. If I need to go weedless, the flashy swimmer, that is the deal. So between those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads and those 5 or 6 swim baits, that's it. You guys can take that information, take what we talked about, whether you're in a murky, warm situation or a clear, cold water situation, pair those heads up with some of these swim baits. We talked about the cold water swim baits, we talked about the warm water swim baits. Pair those up, and I promise you guys, you will have a ton of success. And this little guy right here will quickly gain you confidence and climb the ladder in your hierarchy of your favorite confidence baits. Now, last but not least, we talked about the heads, we talked about the baits. Now let's talk about the actual rods themselves. Now, you guys will notice I have 3 bait casters here. 2 of these I throw Finesse Swimbaits on. I throw little 2.75 swammers, I throw little Mayors, I throw little Kitex. I throw them on a bait caster now. Bait Finesse reels paired up with 6 and 7 pound fluorocarbon. Let me chuck that thing a long ways, and I have that same muscle memory as throwing my favorite large swim baits. Now, with that said, if you're a guy that doesn't have a BFS or a bait finesse setup, you can fish these on your favorite Nico rig rod, your favorite shaky head rod, spinning rod. You can get away with throwing light line on your favorite spinning rod and pairing that up with one of these little finesse swim baits, and you guys will catch a lot of fish. If you're a guy that's went down that, you got motorcycle races over here. If you're a guy that's went down that BFS rabbit hole, throwing whether it's a guppy head or a little tactical mini underspin, a little underspin, throwing it on bait finesse on a bait caster has made all the difference in the world for me. It's how I throw all of my baits now. I can throw it 30, 40 yards. I have that same muscle memory when I set the hook. It's so much more comfortable to fish throughout the day. Now, if I could have one rod, it's not even a bait finesse rod. If I can have one rod, it's an X-Pride 7.2 medium light. Guys, you can throw little blade baits on this. You can throw little Texas rigs on it. You can throw your favorite finesse swim bait, but paired up with a Corrado BFS, a Daiwa BFS, paired up with a BFS reel with that lighter line, you can chuck these things a long way, and especially in clear water, that makes all the difference. And then when you set the hook, it's like setting the hook on your favorite frog rod, your favorite swim bait rod. It's that same muscle memory. One other rod this guy right here. Now this is not a budget rod by any means. This is the Dark Sleeper rod by Megabass. It's in that P5 lineup. This is my sleeper combo, paired up with 12-pound fluorocarbon, straight fluorocarbon. That little guy right there, look how beat up that thing is. They just get better and better. The more they get beat up, the more fish they catch. But the Dark Sleeper rod is an awesome, awesome finesse swimbait rod. Whether the Dark Sleeper or whether you're throwing a little bit larger underspin or something on the little screwed up head, that guy right there has an awesome, the blank is awesome for throwing these swim baits. Long distances, good backbone when you need to set the hook, drive that hook home, and they keep those fish loaded. You guys know that those smallmouth love to go crazy and jump. That is an awesome, I can't say awesome enough, rod for Dark Sleeper. Now, again, you're gonna pay for it. It's in that Destroyer line, but guys, that is my Dark Sleeper combo. As always, we appreciate the support. I'll link our favorite heads, our favorite baits, our favorite colors down below in the video description. But if you guys aren't throwing an underspin, if you guys aren't throwing a finesse swim bait, you guys are missing out. You're missing out on fish. Guys, as always, we appreciate the support. We'll link the rods, the reels, the gear, the line, all that stuff down below in the video description. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.